A year on from Hamas's 7th October attacks, Israel, Hamas and Hezbollah have all launched assaults. Israel carried out airstrikes in Lebanon, saying it hit Hezbollah targets, and Gaza, where it targeted Hamas. From Gaza, Hamas fired rockets at Israel, with 2 people wounded near Tel Aviv. And in northern Israel, apartments were damaged by Hezbollah rockets fired from Lebanon. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets in major cities around the world to condemn the Israeli military operations in Gaza as the war in the Palestinian territory hits the 1-year mark. We have more in this report.
The Israeli Defense Forces said that another division was deployed on Sunday for localized operations in southern Lebanon. The IDF states the 91st Division has been active for almost a year in Gaza and northern Israel. This is the 3rd Division Strength Troop grouping used in the ground fight against Hezbollah. Israel announced its ground invasion of Lebanon 1 week ago. Meanwhile, a large number of Palestinian families were displaced in Jabalia in northern Gaza after a number of tanks entered the area, and the Israeli army asked residents to evacuate their homes following a bombing operation overnight and at dawn on Sunday. Palestinian health officials said at least 20 people have been killed since Saturday night in northern Gaza after the army sent tanks into areas there for the first time in months and urged residents to leave. The Hamas-run Gaza government media office said a further 26 people were killed and 93 others wounded when Israeli airstrikes hit a mosque and a school sheltering displaced people. Also, according to Israel's ambulance service, 10 people have been injured by missiles fired from Lebanon at the northern Israeli cities of Haifa and Tiberias overnight. Several of the injured suffered wounds from shrapnel, glass and window debris. The Israeli military says the missiles hit a restaurant, a house and a main road, adding that it's investigating how Hezbollah-fired missiles were able to break through Israel's air defense systems. Hezbollah said it is targeting military facilities.
In the Indonesian capital of Jakarta, more than 1,000 pro-Palestinian protesters gathered around the embassy of the United States, demanding that Washington, Israel's top military supplier and ally, stop sending weapons to Israel. In the Philippines, dozens of left-wing activists protested near the U.S. embassy in Manila, where police prevented them from getting closer to the seaside compound. In South Africa's Cape Town, hundreds walked to Parliament chanting. Pro-Gaza marches were also planned on Saturday in Johannesburg and Durban. In Caracas, hundreds of pro-Palestinian demonstrators protested outside the United Nations headquarters for Venezuela, carrying a giant Palestinian flag. They delivered a petition to the UN calling for an end to the genocide of the Palestinians. Police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse protesters in Italy's capital, Rome, as their demonstration turned violent. The rally had been calm until a smaller group tried to push the rally towards the center of the city, despite a ban by local authorities who had refused to authorize protests, citing security concerns. At least 30 law enforcement officers and 3 demonstrators were injured in the clashes. Some 40,000 pro-Palestinian demonstrators marched through central London on Saturday, one of its biggest rallies in a year. In Dublin, several hundred people took to the streets, waving Palestinian flags and chanting, "Ceasefire now." In France, thousands of people marched in Paris, Lyon, Toulouse, Bordeaux and Strasbourg to express solidarity with the Palestinians. About 5,000 persons joined the pro-Palestinian protest in Madrid, brandishing signs with messages such as "Boycott Israel." In Washington, more than 1,000 protesters demonstrated outside the White House on Saturday, demanding the U.S. stop providing weapons and aid to Israel. More rallies and candlelight vigils took place in cities across Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Americas.